Hi and welcome to Shakey's Sports Journeys. Appreciate you joining as ever. Please do subscribe to the channel. That'd be much appreciated. It's a big fight coming up this weekend, Saturday night, 23rd of April. The big fight between Tyson Fury and Dillian Whyte. So I thought I need to find somebody who knows his stuff. Who better than highly regarded boxing pundit Steve Lillis? How are you, sir?
Good. Thanks for having me on, Shake. It's even better to speak and meet with a boxing man who loves cricket. There's not many of us. Well, you played a great level as well, of course, but I didn't. But great to meet a fellow cricket lover as well as boxing.
Listen, love it. They're my two favorite. Probably obviously I played cricket, but as a fan, boxing has just been all my life. I've just loved the boxing, and I've sat in to late nights till 4 or 5 in the morning watching you and Bunsey
Crikey, the Box Nation.
chat boxing and Box Nation. Loved it. Love all the big fights. But there's not much bigger than this Saturday night. It's been a bit of an interesting build-up, different to what we're used to. I was expecting it was going to be two big characters just going at each other. And Dillian Whyte seems to, obviously, it's down to a lot of politics as well, money and things like that. But do you think he's played a bit of mind games here?
I don't think he's playing mind games. He wasn't, I think even before the purse bids, he was making his case. So, he wouldn't be happy with the split, the 55-45 split that the WBC were going to instruct, which is the 70-30, 80, 75. Yeah, it's a split. But he wanted the 55-45, which interim champions won't get. And then when Frank Warren won the purse bids, he just didn't play ball at all. And that could still cause him a problem down the long run because he didn't help to sell the fight with the first press conference. It seems, last week he suddenly come on board with this Zoom press conference. He's did an interview with Bunsey, who you just mentioned there for BT, that's going out now. He's going to go to the press conference on Thursday. But you know what? I think Dillian, I don't know about mind games, but whether it's mind game, I don't think it is. But even if it is, what it has robbed the public of is these two going at it hammer and tongs. Because look, we can say as much as we want, we just want all gentlemen fighting. Deep down, we love it when they're going at each other. It's like last week, going off topic very briefly, Atletico Madrid, Manchester City, all these commentators, we don't want to see this on a football field. Deep down, we all love the dark arts and watching Atletico Madrid losing their head. It made great TV last week, but it would have been fantastic if these two had been going hammer and tongs instead. Certainly at the launch press conference, they would have done that. There wasn't a face-off. And then, of course, we will see it hopefully later this week at the press conference, them two going at each other. But it certainly it didn't affect box office sales. What Dillian suddenly playing ball has rescued is the pay-per-view numbers, because it needs to sell pay-per-view, because they're not selling to you and me, the hardcore boxing fan. You're selling pay-per-view to the casuals, the people who dip in and out, people who subscribe to TV channels, not necessarily for boxing, for other sports. I mean, most people who subscribe to BT and Sky, it's for the football. Other sports just supplement that. But, Dillian playing ball will certainly help the pay-per-view sales, because that does need to tango. Whereas it shows the pull of Fury that it being the only one at the launch press conference that they sold. Was it 80,000 overnight, and then recently got allowed 94,000 in the stadium. It's going to be electric in there on Saturday night. I'm not there, unfortunately, but it's going to be something special, the atmosphere.
You're 100% right. I mean, I think we were all robbed a little bit. I was certainly looking forward to it. I hope we have a really action-packed week where we just get to really get the juices flowing and get excited for the fight. But I tell you what, Frank Warren and Dillian Whyte's lawyer made up for it in Talk Sport. That was some viewing, mate. I was in stitches.
It was incredible, wasn't it? I mean, I didn't hear it live. It was only when I saw it on Twitter and people talk about it, I watched it. But you know what? Just from my years in boxing, and I'm not a lawyer, why did they sign the contract? The purse bids. Look, when you sign a bout agreement, in there it's stipulated you help with this, you help with that. But why they signed it and then thought they could go back was maybe not naive on Dillian's lawyer's part. But I'm not a lawyer, so he may have had his reasons. But
listen,
when you win a purse bid, you sign a contract.
Listen, I'm not a lawyer, and I know you don't sign something unless you've got in that contract what you want to have in that contract. So I thought it was a bit strange that he was saying we want things changed now after a contract signed. But look, that got the juices flowing. People got excited about that. Listening to that, Talksport got some great views. But that I guess now this week we want to see that going into the press conference. But the fight itself. How much do you think weight is going to play a part in this? I've noticed Fury is looking leaner than I've seen him look in any other fight. Yeah,
you don't know. I don't think weight's going to be the most determining factor, but a lot of people suggesting Fury's lean. That he went to war with Deontay Wilder. That maybe he's not. A lot of people think Whyte's got the style that's all wrong, but if Tyson's, back to, he's boxing best, using his jab, teeing off from that, it's a very long, hard night for Dillian. But, I don't go too much into the size. What it maybe does show is what Tyson's planning to do. Is use his feet and box off the jab all night.
Dillian Whyte, some people are saying it's a very similar style to Derek Chisora. And obviously, Fury dealt with Chisora twice, fairly comfortably. Yeah. Do you see it being a similar kind of fight?
Yeah, it is similar to Chisora, and the first Fury Chisora fight, Fury was got up for it, and Chisora looked. I was at Wembley that night. Chisora looked awful. He was out of shape. He wasn't trained, and I'll never forget. Mick Hennessy promoted the fight. Chisora was with Frank Warren at the time, and ironically, he was in the corner against Tyson that night. And Frank's hadn't been, it wasn't his fight. He turned up on the fight night expecting Chisora to win, full of confidence, and you could see his face drain when he saw the condition Chisora was in. The second fight, that was on the Eubank Billy Joe Saunders bill. I didn't see the fight. I watched it the next day. I was there for Eubank, and Bugsy and myself had to jump in a car to Box Nation. So Mystics, it was late at night at the X, so I watched it the next day. When I watched it, that was one of Tyson's best performances. He was fantastic that night. So if he can repeat that form, you find it hard to, some of that style like Dillian can find a way to win. What I love about this fight, what no one has really noted, Shaky, is when these guys turn professional, you wouldn't have got 500 to 1 that they would be fighting in a bout of this magnitude against each other. They were just hopefuls. Dillian Whyte was doing these bit on Frank Maloney's small hall shows at the time. I remember seeing Tyson fight his 10th fight in a leisure centre in Huddersfield. He wasn't even top of the bill. It was Gary Sykes against Andy Morris for the British Super Featherweight. And right then, Tyson's stock was low. About 6 months earlier, he'd had to struggle against John McDermott, the first John McDermott fight. So neither of these were when these guys turned over, there was no major excitement about either of them, especially Whyte. He was, he was on Frank Small show, or Kelly Maloney show, so I apologise there. Small hall shows. And Tyson, there was, even his 10th fight after the first McDermott fight, he was down the bill at Huddersfield Leisure Centre. It was mad. Carl Frampton was also down the bill at that fight, but Frampton was on his second fight and expected. So what these two have done to even get to a fight of this magnitude deserves heaps of credit, because, it's not like when Anthony Joshua turned over in a blaze of publicity and expectancy, he was already a superstar from the Olympics.
Well, this is similar to me watching you on Box Nation. Who would have thought I'd be talking to you in a podcast?
Oh, don't know about that, mate. I'm talking to Scotland's #1 cricketer. That does for me, pal.
So, Dillian Whyte's attributes, let's talk about them. One thing I have seen talked about and Tyson Fury maybe hasn't been in with somebody like this before, Dillian Whyte will look to work the body. Something that Deontay Wilder didn't do. He's a headhunter. He looks for the knockout every shot. Do you think? But the thing is, do you think Dillian Whyte's going to be able to work his way in there to get?
That's the question. How do you get inside Tyson if you're on the end of that long jab? He's got to find a way to get under that jab and get inside, to do things to Tyson that other people haven't. Chisora tried that a bit in the second fight, couldn't do it. You know, that is my big Tyson's jab is the key weapon in this fight, in my opinion. You know, how do you get under that jab and do body damage to a man who's got, who's got an armor span like an eagle?
And moves, like you said.
Moves. I mean, that's the thing. He moves for a big man. That's what I find, really, how does he do that? But it doesn't take away the fascination I've got with this fight, because something crazy could happen in there, because they've been in crazy fights, these two.
The other big thing that Dillian Whyte does have as an attribute is that counter left hook. We've seen him land it on Joshua. I just think Fury's too smart to get hit with that counter left hook.
That's my opinion. Look, for me, this thing, because of the build up until the last week, the last few days, shall we say, not been slow. We've had apart from Dillian not turning up at the first press conference until last week when I had a conference call. The big talking point had been the fight on TalkSport with Frank Warren and Dillian Whyte's lawyer, which you brought up. That had been the selling point. We haven't had TV cameras in the gym. Thing with boxing. What's boxing? I've been in it for 1989. Boxing's a big village. It's a village. Everyone knows everything. Even though keep this quiet, but boxing's full of that. But there's been no whispers from either camp on this. I mean, Dillian, there hasn't been anything for months because he's holed up in Portugal for every fight with his team. And Tyson's been a lot more lower key on social media for this fight. He's been holed up in near his home in North Lancashire, Morecambe way. Yeah.
How do you see the fight panning out? Do you think Fury will come out, because we've kind of got a new Fury now, but that's why I think him coming in a bit leaner, I think he's going to go for different tactics in this fight.
Yeah.
In the second and third Wilder fight, he came out and surprised us all by putting it on Wilder.
Yeah.
But he was huge for that. He really built himself up. Looks like he's gone leaner. So you're just expecting, and the way Fury fights, jab, 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 move, keep making it.
That's what I'm expecting. Jab, 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 pouring out the right hand. I'm expecting that. I can see why he met Wilder. I'm going to go and jump on you again to Wilder in the third fight. Now, whether that was right or what, it paid off ultimately, but nearly ended his unbeaten record because of what he'd done to Wilder in the second fight. It's like, I don't know. Look, I've never played any sort of good level of cricket in my life, but I guess there's certain bat bowlers you can get hold of, or batsmen the bowler can get hold of. They do, and I think he went and jumped on him in the third fight, believing he could just walk through him, because that's what he did in the second fight. This fight's going to be, look, who knows if Fury? He's a crazy character. He could be playing. He's looking leaner. Look at me, and putting little whispers out. He's leaner. I think he's going to come out behind the jab like he did second Chisora fight and dominate the fight that way and win at late stoppage or points. But there's still this craziness about this fight where something mad could happen and we get a disqualification or someone behind and they suddenly throw a sledgehammer hook, that left counter of Dillian's, and suddenly Tyson's all over the place later on. It's got that drama about it where I fancy Tyson strongly, but I still won't want to take my eyes off it for a second, because something mad could happen with these two. They're a pair of, in the nicest sense, and I don't want to, belittle either. They're a pair of lovable, great cranks. I love them. They're mad as a March Hare, and you know what? And I've got to know. I knew Dillian really well in his early days. I know Tyson a little bit. I really warm to Dillian. I really do. I think he's a really nice guy. We're not going to say nice guy. What you see is what you get. With Dillian, that's how he is. He's a pure badass street kid. Jamaica via Brixton via Jamaica. he's a good man, but he's not a man to be messed with. Tyson, I've been around Tyson a lot professionally, and you don't know what you're getting from one day to the next. He's never just get lost, but some days you might get a hello, next day you might sit down and have a coffee with you. That's what you get. Whereas Dillian, what you see is what you get with him. There's nothing fake about him at all.
Yeah, I'm actually neutral on this one. I love Tyson Fury. I think the comeback is one of the greatest things I've ever witnessed. Unbelievable the way he's connected with people as well. I've had mental health struggles and the way he's come back. What a story. Love it. But Dillian Whyte as well, I totally agree with you. He's just a grafter. He's just grafted his way up. The amount of time he's had to wait for a title shot has been not as it sounds like, even with the people try and criticise him for not taking the Joshua fight, but it sounds like they were playing unfair with him as well. And he's got a right to maybe think, no, I want what I'm worth. I do think that fight is more suitable to this Fury fight. I think the Whyte and Joshua fight, I think Dillian Whyte, if he lands that left on Joshua again, could finish him next time.
He nearly did last time in that. And was it the first round or start at the end of the first? Was it the last time he landed?
It was the end of the second. It was about the second round.
You know what? It's just out. You can say, I don't know what you say. You make your own luck, whatever. But there's been fights where Dillian's barely scraped through, but he's done it. Joseph Parker, where he was down. The second Chisora fight, he was behind till he called up with him in the 11th round.
Even that Oscar Rivas fight, he had a bit of trouble.
He's had some tough fights as well. And you know what now you also got to maybe look at for this fight. I'm just thinking sort of aloud here. Are either of these fighters what they were 12, 18 months ago? Tyson's come through the last two. The last fight with Wilder was brutal. You got no. That could have left a mark on him. You only have so many years at the well. In the well. When Dillian Whyte knocked out Povetkin, he was brutally knocked out by Povetkin. When he got revenge, that was an old man in the ring, Povetkin. It shouldn't have happened in the first knockout. You wonder if, could this be a fight where one of them gets in the ring and there's not a lot left in the tank? That's what makes it such a great fight. I've got this strong opinion of how it's going, and this is the first time I really spoke about it. And all of a sudden, hold on here. I'm talking to you, coming up with these scenarios, and that's why everyone's going to be talking about this fight this week.
With Dillian Whyte, what worries me a bit about Fury is I just think Fury might just think I'm a level above this guy, and he might just overlook him a little bit. No. Whereas I think Dillian Whyte, he's going to be hungry. It's his first title shot. I can't see him not coming anything but ready. Look, I don't think Fury will completely. I'm sure Fury knows he's dangerous, but that's the only thing. Because whenever you watch a Fury interview, he just sounds like he's like, this guy's he's not in my league. But he does that with everybody, Fury. So it's no different. So am I right in saying then you're thinking a late stoppage for Tyson Fury?
Yeah, or possibly wide points. I don't think he'll overlook him for one moment. Tyson that tells you I'm retiring, I'm not retiring. He wants all four belts. I think he's looking at the finishing line in boxing. We're not going to see. He won't have no more than another 2-3 fights. I think Tyson is so desperate still for that winner of the Josh Usyk rematch.
I was going to say,
retire with all four belts and set his legacy in stone forever that no one can take away. I don't think he'll overlook him. For Dillian, it's the fight, as you say, he's been waiting years and years for. It's here. This is the one. This might be his one chance.
Well, listen, as boxing fans, we're all in for a treat. I'm very much looking forward to it. I'm hoping we're going to get some good fight preview stuff throughout the course of the week. I agree with you. I think Fury late stoppage or points. However, Dillian Whyte is a live dog in this fight as well. If he lands, you never know. It could just be one of those moments Fury switches off and he catches him.
Yep.
But then you expect Fury to get back up off the floor. No man. If Wilder wasn't able to pin him to the canvas, I can't see why he won't get back up again. And then that could really light the fight up. It needs Dillian Whyte, I think, to land something on Fury.
Yeah.
Get the fight going. No, I don't want it. Nobody wants to watch the Chisora-like fight that was just completely one-sided. I would like to see it become exciting at some point. But May the best man win. It's going to be a cracking fight. So you're not going to Wembley?
No, I'm not going to Wembley. I'm going to rush back. I'm going to Bournemouth to watch Fulham play on Saturday. And then
That'll be your warm-up. That'll be your warm-up.
And then I'll miss the undercard, and I should get back just in time for it.
Well, listen, it's been a pleasure to chat to you, sir.
And you, Shay, keeping a great speaking to you, mate. Really, really good. I enjoy following you on Facebook, and now I've started following you on Instagram and Twitter. I dare say we'll speak more on there, mate. But anytime you need me, you know where I am.
Listen, that's much appreciated. It'd be great to talk boxing with you, maybe in some future fights as well. Really appreciate your time. I'll catch you for a second at the end, but thanks very much, Steve, and enjoy the fight on Saturday night.
Thank you. You enjoy it too.
Appreciate it, mate.